He hath weighed my words, he hath examined my thoughts, he hath sealed up all my sins, he hath hitherto been silent, hitherto patient, but alas, he will one day cry out and call me to a reckoning for all. O my heart, O poor heart, a heart full of miseries, never able to sustain the firebrands of conscience. Alas, wretch that I am, comfortless and forsaken wretch, whither shall I go? To whom shall I seek for succor? Who shall have pity and compassion upon me? If I behold the heavens, I am justly excluded thence, because I have grievously sinned against them. If I look upon the earth, it is weary of me, because I have been a burden unto it. On the one side I see the good I have declined. On the other side I see the evil, which I have pursued. Before me is death, ready to arrest me. Behind me is my wicked life, ready to accuse. Above me, thy justice ready to condemn me. Beneath me, hellfire ready to devour me. I am altogether unworthy that the earth should bear me, that the light and air should refresh me, that any creature should serve me. My eyes are not worthy to look towards thee. Yea, they are most worthy to be drowned with tears. If then I am ashamed to be seen, how shall I be assured to be received? I have no heart to ask, what hope can I have that I shall obtain? Go to then, O sinful soul, enter again into thy closet of thy conscience. Turn over the books of, cast up thy reckoning, set down thy sum, see what thou hast done, and what thou hast deserved. O Lord, I must confess I have been guilty of abusing thy creatures, in desiring, seeking, and embracing them above and before thee. I have been guilty of blasphemy, guilty of swearing, guilty of lying, guilty of vain and foolish talking, guilty of covetousness, guilty of cruelty, guilty of pride, guilty of ambition, guilty of riot, guilty of gluttony, guilty of drunkenness, guilty of lightness, guilty of looseness, guilty of lust, guilty of envy, guilty of hatred, guilty of anger, guilty of unquietness, guilty of frowardness, guilty of obstinacy, guilty of rashness, guilty of violence, guilty of idleness, guilty of sloth, guilty of hypocrisy, guilty of breaking all thy commandments. The penalty is eternal banishment from thy presence, and intolerable and endless pains in hellfire. Alas for me, wretch! Alas, what will become of me, O my Lord? I know not what to do. I cannot tell what my answer make. And being now in extremity both of danger and fear, my cogitations torment me, every thought is a thorn unto me, insomuch that I may conclude of myself with that of Judas, it had been good for me that I had never been born. Look down into hell and take a view of that bottomless abyss of misery. See there who 'tis expects thy coming, and what shall be thy entertainment. Look down into hell, I say, over which thou hangest by the slender thread of life, which, if it should happen suddenly to break, thou art plunged therein forever, and lost beyond recovery. And if it breaketh not then, the vital flame of life will ever long be extinguished by the damp of death, and then thou entailest that everlasting misery upon thee, which I will next declare. A short view of the horrors and terrors of the damned in hell. O good God, what do I behold in this infernal lake? Nothing but horror, tumultuous and eternal horror, fiery chains, flaming whips, scorching darkness, tormenting devils, and burning souls, howling, roaring, and lamenting. Woe and alas, and a mad rage, blaspheming God, in despair forever to be received into his favor, and for despot in being fettered by him in those eternal flames with a desperate impenitency, cursing all creatures and especially themselves, tearing in a manner their own substance, and inviting the furious fiends to torment them. All the pains of this life are but singular, vexing some one sense or member of the body, or if here every pore and every part of the condemned prisoner, as well inward and as outward, hath both a full and fit charge of punishment, without either intermission or change. For as he hath offended God with every part, both of his soul and of his body, so must every one of them receive their peculiar punishment. The memory is tormented with pleasures that are past, the apprehension with pains that are present, the understanding with joys that are lost, and miseries that are to come, the will with the malicious and envious disposition at the glory of God and his elect, and above all the conscience, that worm which never dies, is tormented with the bitter despot, and raging fruitless repentance, and every particular offense the sinner hath committed, which once seemed soft and sweet, but now like serpents cruelly and restlessly gnaw upon him, never ceasing to put him in remembrance how base were the causes of his calamity, what warning was given, what means was offered for avoiding of them, how strenuously he had been persuaded, how earnestly entreated to charge his choice and accept the offer of eternal happiness, how easily he might, and many times how nearly he had apprehended the occasion, and yet how negligently and how foolishly and how madly he continued in his careless course. Further, the sight is affected with utter darkness and horrid spectacles of tormenting devils, the hearing with terrible and hideous cries, the smell with poisonous stink, the taste with bitterness far exceeding gall, the feeling with intolerable fire, a fire which hath nothing to feed it, though it never consumeth, a fire which hath no light to comfort, but heat to torment, no light, but to show them their own miseries, and the miseries of those that they did inordinately affect, a fire whose force shall never be spent or extinguished. So long as God is God, so long torment the wicked in that which such vehement rage that one drop of water to be applied to their scorched tongues will be more valued than 1,000 worlds. O unhappy bodies, which are to be plunged into this burning lake, speaking nothing but curses, seeing nothing but miseries, hearing nothing but mourning and gnashing of teeth. O foolish, bewitched souls, which pass away the time of this life of heavens, and doing mischief. Your 7 years of plenty are past. No mention, no memory remaineth of them. Your glory is vanished. Your felicity is swallowed up in a sea of misery. Your pleasant songs are turned into howlings, and your joys into eternal sorrow. And although it be the same fire that torments all the damned, yet do they suffer several degrees of torments, according to the various degrees of their transgression, even as when many stand under the scorching sun. All are not vexed with the heat alike, but as their bodies are differently disposed, so doth one complain above another. And therefore that which is a property of our material fire, by reason of our diversity of bodies, is proper also to the fire of hell, by reason of diversity of sins. For as the same material fire burneth not straw, wood, and iron alike, so this immaterial fire tormenteth different sinners in a different sort, because not so much the persons as the sins of men are the proper subject of this burning, and the eternal fuel of these flames. But this pain of sense is far surmounted, as divines are of opinion, by another pain, which they term the pain of loss, because that which the damned do feel in hell is nothing comparable to that which they forego. And that is to be deprived both of the society and sight of God, wherein consisteth the essential glory of the saints. For the good of a thing is, the greater the pain and grief doth it cause, it being either not attained or lost. And therefore, seeing that God is infinitely good, not only comprehending, but exceeding the perfection of all things, and therewith the least end of our desires, and the perfect rest of a reasonable soul, it followeth that all the torments of hell do not so much afflict the soul as to be deprived forever of the comforting presence of God, as it can neither be expressed nor conceived. How excellent and glorious is the sight and enjoyment of God, so neither is it possible to declare how great a punishment it is to be deprived thereof. Many are so weak in judgment that they desire no more than to escape hell, but there is a far greater torment than that of hell, which is to be ever excluded from the enjoyment of God in heaven. Hell is intolerable, but much more intolerable to be deprived of the glory of heaven, to be hated of Christ, who has expressed such unspeakable love to poor sinners, to have him turn away his soul-satisfying countenance, and to banish us forever from his blessed presence, with the "Depart from me, ye cursed, I know ye not." Jesus, suffer us not, we beseech thee, to taste of those torments. Suffer us not to be secure, as lightly to esteem them. At least suffer us not with so much precipitation to plunge ourselves into them. So much as thy glory exceed the torments of hell, so much is the torment greater to be deprived of the one than to be possessed of the other. And besides these torments that are common to all the miserable inhabitants of these dismal regions of darkness, every offender shall have his particular pains according to the difference of his sins, either in quality or kind. The proud shall be abased and trodden under foot. The covetous shall be macerated with the weight of their own want. The gluttonous shall be devoured with a ravenous hunger. The drunkard shall be dried up with a scorching thirst. The lascivious and unchaste that burn here in the impure flames of lust shall be there ever embraced with the stinking and sulphurous flames, so that according to the pleasure and satisfaction they took in their lusts, to which they gave up themselves, shall their misery and torment be proportioned to them, whereby as well the beauty and order of God's justice, as also the manner of their excess and the measure of it, shall perfectly appear. That it saith, hell is hunger and thirst, wailing and gnashing of teeth, two-edged swords, worms, serpents, scorpions, hammers, wormwood, water mingled with gall, tempestuous spirits, and spirits created for revenge. By all which expressions, as well the greatness and the multitude and variety of torments are signified, which the damned shall forever endure. Finally, then shall be poured upon the damned the full flood of God's wrath, which they had heaped up against this day of wrath, since the beginning of the world, and all the torments that possibly can be imagined shall then be poured down upon their heads without measure. Nay, all the torments which in this life either have been invented or can be conceived fall infinitely short, both in respect of sharpness and continuance, with the torments of that place, which, although they shall be common to many, yet they shall feel them mostly that have had the best means and opportunities to avoid them. And not only all these pains, but any one of them shall be so grievous and so intolerable as that it is impossible for the wit of man either to express or imagine. For as much as the least torment of hell that can be suffered is more than we can possibly conceive, must be, without hope or help, no hope of intermission, become insupportable. Poorest comfort of calamity, pity. But on the contrary, the devils shall upbraid them, and even those that are under the same damnation with them shall curse them, and the saints shall deride them. Nor lastly of the end, if there might be an end of those torments, although it should be after so many millions of years as there are drops of water in the sea, as there are motes of dust upon the earth, as there have been moments of time since time began, it would be some comfort to those that do endure them. But eternity is that which they can't bear the thoughts of. Infinite eternity breaketh their hearts. Eternity is the very hell of hells. If all the punishments in hell were no greater than the stinging of ants or of fleas, eternity is enough to make them intolerable.